Is this frequency in use? This is Kilo India 5, Delta Oscar Golf, KI5DOG, and my name is David. My station is located in the Rio Grande Valley of Deep South Texas. And welcome to this episode of 73 in the RGV. This episode is being recorded on Sunday, May 4th, 2025 for online publication on Sunday, May 4, 2025. All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome. Good to have you here. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for listening. Thank you again to everybody that's listened to this, technically watched this on the YouTube channel, and those of you that have subscribed on the Apple Podcast. It's slowly spinning out to all the other services, Spotify and all of that. So be on the lookout for that here real soon. Alrighty. So again, welcome back. So as always, the purpose of 73 in the RGV, again, is to be a tool to convey information about amateur radio in the Rio Grande Valley and what's going on and what we're doing with it as amateur radio operators and amateur radio clubs and individuals, groups, organizations, and how it ties into what we're doing in the community, actively doing in the community. And because of that, we have a special interview that, well, later on in the show, you'll get to hear it. So, as always, remember, amateur radio is made up of licensed ham radio operators, and so you got to be licensed. If you're not licensed, well, you might get in trouble. So be careful. And basically, what we're saying is, don't be a pirate. But we'll talk more about that in just a bit. Alrighty, so let's get started. And speaking of getting started, as I mentioned, you need a license. You need to be licensed with the Federal Communications Commission here in the United States. And to be an amateur licensed radio operator, there are 3 license classes. There's technician, there's general, and then there's extra. Now, you cannot go to the top level right away. You might be trained for it, you might have studied for it, and that's fine. And we'll talk about training and study in just a little bit. But you have to begin at the technician level. And if you pass that test in that first session, the first testing session, you have the opportunity to take the next test free of charge. There is a charge for taking a test. It's a nominal fee. It used to be $15, but hey, times are tough all over. It's now a little bit more. It's $35. Alrighty. But hey, understand that the license that you're going to get is good for 10 years before renewal. And so just remember, you got to renew it. Otherwise, it'll lapse, and then you might lose your call sign. And we'll talk more about call signs and vanity call signs a little bit later on. But just a call sign is what people will know you as on the radio waves. So again, you need to get licensed. So know the rules. And there's many, but the test is not that difficult, provided you take some time to study it. Now, there are many resources out there. There's numerous. There's videos on YouTube. There's podcasts. There is online apps. There's online websites. There's apps for your phone, your smartphone, your tablet, whatever. You've got apps for that. There's an app for everything now. And we'll talk more about some very cool app I ran across and got to actually use it. And we'll talk about that one a little bit later on and how it helps amateur radio. Alrighty, but one of the things I want to draw your attention, again, I'm not sponsored by anybody. Nobody has sponsored me yet. However, I am open to sponsorships. I'm not going to lie. Hey, who is it in these times? But again, Ham Radio Prep, that's who I went to when I was studying to take my technician's license, Ham Radio Prep. And they have this ham radio online license classes. And the cool thing is, I signed up so I could take my technicians. Well, that also gives you the ability to study for your general. Yeah, it's the same one fee, gets you both of them, and it's really neat, really cool. So again, and it's always the links to anything I mentioned, in this case, Ham Radio Prep Online. It's hamradioprep.com. That's it. And I'll have the show note. That'll be in the show notes. Sorry about that. So if you're listening to the podcast and you're listening to this on your phone or on your smart tablet, just scroll down. You'll see the show notes and the link will be there. If you're listening to this on YouTube, well, it's down below. It's down below, down there where all the comments and everything is. And so again, don't hesitate to visit them. Now, where is all of this being governed, and where does this all happen? Well, the National Association for Amateur Radio, ARRL, Amateur Radio Relay League, they ARRL.org, they're kind of like the clearinghouse, the central, everything begins and ends there. Again, very great group. You might want to consider joining, but definitely visit the website. It's got a lot of information. It's got a whole section on licensing, education, and training. And you definitely want to get that. You want to review that and how to get the licenses, the technician license, the general license. It breaks it down, the amateur extra license. Now, know one thing. As a technician, level 1, doesn't matter. It's what I am right now. I'm halfway through my licensing period. It does open up. You do have a lot of area where you can communicate. A lot of nice things you can do. You can do some digital. Right? You can do some Morse code, some CW. But talking to others across the world, well, you've got a very, very narrow bandwidth. But once you get your general license, and that's what I'm working for, once you get that general license or the amateur extra license, well, that opens up the whole world. And you have more bandwidth, more areas, more bands, radio frequencies you can use. So don't discount just, taking the technician license and that's it. No. Now, other things have happened in my life that I didn't take it right away. I wanted to take it right away, but some other opportunities opened up, so I took those first, because those other opportunities definitely are once in a lifetime. But then again, you got to take your ham radio license. Well, you got that once in a lifetime thing, and move on up. Alrighty. So again, visit the ARRL.org website. Also, don't hesitate. Visit our local websites, our local amateur radio clubs. They've got a lot of information. They've got where to begin. They point you in the right direction. They'll share with you some resources. The W5RGV.org website. The, my goodness, my apologies. The RIOARC.org website. Right, so we've got a couple of those there. And the, RGVARC.org website as well. So all of those websites locally. Now, of course, there's others that have their own websites, which is cool, and they talk about it. But again, visit the websites, get familiar with what's going on. And as I've seen a bumper sticker many years ago for one of those, the media and the entertainment industry has kind of created this air of mystery. I mean, there was even a book written about, well, not specifically about them, but it involved them. There's been a couple of movies with Nicolas Cage that talks about them, right? The National Treasure. And so that group, that quote-unquote clandestine group, whatever, but they're not. They're really great people. And the bumper sticker, it had that symbol, right? It was a compass and the letter G, right? You know what I'm talking about. And it had the bumper sticker says, to be one, ask one. Well, folks, to be an amateur radio operator, ask an amateur radio operator. We will talk your ear off about our hobby. We love it. I mean, that's why I started the podcast. Ask somebody how to get started. Yesterday, and again, I'm recording this on a Sunday. Yesterday, Saturday, the 3rd of May, we had an event, and I'll talk a little bit more about that here. And it's one of the nice little perks about being an amateur radio operator. You get some of these you get access to some pretty cool stuff. And along the way to get there, I had to stop and ask people for directions. And as I was asking people for directions, they were like, I was telling them what I was doing, what I was going for. And they were like, ooh, what's this? What's it for? How do you do that? And not necessarily about the ham radio, but what we were going to go do. So again, you get these little perks, these little access things that most people, normally civilians, don't, or they actually have to go out of their way to go get it. Lucky enough to be part of this awesome group, this awesome group down here in the Rio Grande Valley of South Texas. And you get exposed to these things and you get these opportunities. And we've got more opportunities coming up real soon. So again, I'll be sharing those with you. Alrighty. So again, don't hesitate. Find someone who does the training. Ask somebody locally if you know somebody locally. If not, hop on the web. I just shared with you some of the websites. I'll share them again. And as always, they are in the show notes. But ask somebody. Listen, but do not key up that microphone. Don't push that microphone button if you do not have a license. Because again, don't want to start off on the wrong foot. You want to have a license before you key up that microphone. Now, you can get yourself a radio and you can listen to your heart's content, but do not key up that microphone until you're licensed. It is important, folks, so be careful, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So, again, the ARRL.org website is definitely the place to be. It could get you all that information on how to be as they say here, a technician license is the entry-level license of choice for most new ham radio operators. And to earn the license requires passing one examination totaling 35 questions on radio theory, regulations, and operating practices. The license gives access to all amateur radio frequencies above 30 megahertz, allowing those licensees the ability to communicate locally and most often within North America. It also allows some limited privileges on the high frequency, or called the shortwave bands, used for international communications. And that would be the 10-meter band. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I actually talked to people in Brazil. I've actually talked to people in Canada. Did talk to somebody in Spain, but it was very brief, and it happens. But it's pretty cool when you make that foreign contact, that distant contact. And you also get an opportunity to talk to some astronauts up in the International Space Station. We'll talk about the ARISS program, the Amateur Radio and the International Space Station program, a little bit later on in these upcoming episodes. So the general license, that's level 2, grants some operating privileges on all amateur radio bands and all operating modes. All operating modes being digital, voice, shortwave. There we go. This license opens the door to, as I mentioned, worldwide communication. Earning the general license, the class license requires passing a 35-question examination. General class licensees must also have passed the technician written examination. So there it is. You got to pass the tech before you can get to the general. Alrighty. Now, the amateur extra, that's the extra license. The amateur extra class license conveys all available U.S. amateur radio operating privileges on all bands, all radio bands, and on all modes. Earning the license is more difficult. It requires passing a thorough 50-question examination. Extra class licensees must also have passed all previous license classes with written examinations. So there we go. Again, you can't move to the top unless you've gone through the bottom and worked your way up. You've got to. That's just the way it is. A little bit more parity that way. Make sure you know your stuff. So again, as I mentioned, there are plenty of online resources. Look them up. You can Google it. And I use Ham Radio Online Training. Ham Radio Online Training. That was the Google search. And right off the bat, a lot of great resources. So definitely check them out. Oh yeah, hamstudy.org. That's another good one there as well. Alrighty. So again, you got to get started. Get that licensing. Get that testing. Study. Amazon books. Ebooks. I picked up one app. I picked up an app for my phone also at the same time. The ARRL. Again, great resource for content. And as I mentioned, websites and apps. Alrighty. Now, let's transition over to the very special surprise or very special interview. And yesterday, Saturday, May 4th. May 3rd. Oh my goodness, I'm looking at the calendar and there we go again. Saturday, May 3rd, that afternoon, we met at the Grande State Park in Weslaco, South Weslaco, on FM 1015. That's right. For those of you out of the area, 1015 is a road, Farm to Market Road 1015. And if it sounds familiar, you may have seen it on the 1015 Onion. That's right. Very good onion. This is where it was developed, I guess. Crossbred and all, cross-pollinated and all. Either way, that's where it comes from. Alrighty, so the Llano Grande State Park, we had from the National Weather Service here in Brownsville, Texas, just down the road a bit. The National Weather Service, we had Barry Goldsmith. And Barry